everyone, it's Robin the Delta Crafter, and I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel. Today's video is an extra special video because it is a part of the Christmas in July Crafty collaboration. This collaboration is being put together by Veronica Chambers and Rae Hunter, and I'm excited to be joining this group of crafty ladies. Today I'm going to be making some Christmas tags, so let's go ahead and get started. The products that I'll be using today are the Cozy Town stamp and die set from Hero Arts, the nested tag dies also from Hero Arts, the Magical Stars stencil from Opaque. I've had this one for a while, so I'm not even sure if it's still available, but you could use any stencil that's similar. Then I'm also going to be using the large falling snow stencil from Simon Says Stamp. For my inks that I'll be using today, I'm using several different colors, including Kitsch Flamingo, Festive Berries, Squeezed Lemonade, Twisted Citron, Tumbled Glass, Broken China, and then I'm also going to be using the newest member to the Distress lineup, Uncharted Mariner. I'm going to be trying out a couple of different hero paste today. I'm going to be using the white hero paste, and then I'm also going to be using the glitter hero paste. I'm going to be using these pastes with the stencils. To stamp my sentiment, I'm going to be using VersaFine ink and Onyx Black. And then in order to spread any type of paste around, you have to have a palette knife, so I'm going to have that. Off to the side, I'm going to have a large bowl of water, and this is where I'm going to place my stencils once I use them in order to clean them later on. And then of course I'm going to have a couple of baby wipes handy as well. Let's go ahead and get started with creating the background. So I want my tags to have kind of a blue sky in the background, maybe even fading into nighttime, so that you can see the snow and the stars in the sky above the houses. So I'm going to start creating this background by laying down some Tumbled Glass Distress ink. If you have followed along with me on YouTube for any amount of time, then you know that ink blending is my jam. So I'm going to make sure that I get a good layer of this first ink down, and then I'm going to work my way up the colors and then work my way back. For the sky background, I always like to start with my lightest color. So I'm moving to my mid-tone color now, which is Broken China. So I want to make sure that I get a good amount of that laid down. And you can see that I'm going to struggle a little bit with this Broken China just because I think I need to re-ink my pad. I have re-inked it previously, but I do use this color quite a bit, so I find myself needing to re-ink it often. Now I've moved on to my third and darkest color, Uncharted Mariner. I've also switched up the type of blending brush that I'm using. This is the ergonomic blending brush from Altenew. And I've dedicated it to be used with blue inks because whether I'm creating a water scene or a sky scene, I'll be using blues a lot in my creations. So it just made sense to dedicate it to using it with blues. So you can see here I'm putting down quite a bit of ink at one time, which is one of the things that I love most about this type of blending brush. Now I'm going to move back in with the Broken China and lay down a little bit more of that to make sure that my blend between my colors is very nice. And then I'm going to finish up with a little bit more of that Tumbled Glass. I've left a little bit of a white halo down at the bottom, and that's going to simulate snow on the ground and kind of give us a little bit of a seamless blend between the snow and the sky. You'll see what that looks like once I start to put the tags together. So let's take a closer look at this blend. That's Tumbled Glass, Broken China, and the newest distress color, Uncharted Mariner. I think that looks awesome together. So now it's time to bring in the tags and make our die cuts of the tags. So I'm going to use the second to the largest die, and that happens to fit nicely on a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 size Nina Classic Crest Solar White paper. So I've taken those to my die cutting machine, and I was able to cut 2 tags from that one panel. I love that I was able to get the 2 tags out of one inked up panel. So now it's time to add that paste to each of the tags. With the first panel, I'm going to add the stars, and I'm going to use the glitter paste with the stars. I want the stars to kind of sparkle a little bit, so that's where the glitter paste will work best for this. I'm using a couple of pieces of Easy C tape to glue the tag to the back of the stencil. And you can see here I'm going to make a mistake. And I like to leave when I make mistakes in my videos because it shows the realness of crafting. Sometimes you make mistakes and you just need to be able to recover from them. Here I'm realizing, I used the wrong kind of paste. That is the plain white paste. And like I said earlier, I wanted to use the glitter paste. So instead of picking that up and starting all over, I'm just going to get the glitter paste and I'm going to add the glitter paste to the rest of the stencil. Even if you make a mistake, you can keep going. It's important to keep moving and keep going when you're crafting. Sometimes things don't look like they're going to turn out the way you want them to, but keep going and you will end up with a beautiful result. So we pull back the stencil and we reveal the stars on the tag. And I just think that looks so nice and sparkly up against that blue background that's going to be the sky. So here I'm bringing in my little bowl of water. I'm going to make sure that my stencil is submerged in that water. And then I'm bringing in the baby wipe to wipe off my palette knife. I want to make sure that my palette knife is nice and clean because I don't want to contaminate my next paste that I'm going to be using, which is the white paste. So now I'm going to get a chance to use the white paste with the snow stencil. I use that Easy C tape to tape the tag to the back of the stencil. I'm just going to put a thin layer of that paste on my tag, and now you can see with the reveal how pretty that snow is on that blue background that we inked up. Here's a closer look at the snow tag. And then here's a closer look at the stars. You can see a little bit there where I put the white paste, but it's all going to work out fine once we get all the elements onto the tag. So I chose a couple of the houses from the Cozy Town stamp set, and I'm going to stamp those onto a piece of Neenah Classic Crest Solar White with VersaFine ink and Onyx Black. I really, really like this ink for ink blending because it holds up to inking on top, which is what I'm planning to do. So I'm going to close the door of my Misty, and I'm going to take my towel and just rub my towel across all the stamps to make sure that I get a great impression. And there you can see the impressions I was able to get. So I'm going to bring in 3, which are non-traditional Christmas colors. But trust me, when we pull them all together, it's going to be definitely give that holiday vibe. So I have 8 houses on this piece of paper. So I'm going to ink up 2 houses each in the 4 different colors that I have. I'm coming in first with the Kitsch Flamingo. Then I'm going to move on to Twisted Citron. And I'm using these small brushes from Simon Says Stamp to blend these houses, because I just want to get into the small area that is where the houses are. The yellow that I'm going to be using is Squeezed Lemonade. This is a bright and vibrant yellow, and it's going to look great for holidays. And then, of course, I'm going to bring in some red. What's the holidays without a little bit of red? And I've chosen to use Festive Berries for that. To cut these houses out, I'm going to use the coordinating dies for each of the houses, and I'm going to take that over to my die cutting machine, and we're going to cut those houses out off camera. Now that I have all the houses and the little church cut out, now it's time to lay them out on the tags and kind of dry fit where I want everything to be. So I decided to go in like rainbow colors. So I started with the pink, then moved on to a red. Gonna add a green, and I'm gonna finish up with, added the yellow, then I'm gonna finish up with the green. So I'm gonna dry fit each tag with the houses and kind of play around with them to see what the configuration is that I want for the final setup. Using a piece of press and seal, I'm going to grab all of the houses off of each of the tags in order to turn them over and be able to put some adhesive on the back of the houses. I'm going to use a few foam dots, and I'm also going to use some liquid adhesive because I'm going to give some of the houses a little bit of pop up so that there's a little bit of texture and dimension on the tag. These are the foam dots from Stampin' Up. These are my absolute favorite of all time. I like that they are thin enough that they can give just a little bit of dimension, but they can also be layered if I want to create more dimension. Sometimes the foam tape that I've purchased before is just too thick to begin with, and then that makes it hard to create with. So I'm going to bring in the quick drying tacky glue from Scotch, and I'm going to add that to a couple more of the houses and get everything ready to be layered up on the tag. All of the products that I'm using today will be listed and linked on my website, thedeltacrafter.com. I'll leave a link in the description below, so be sure to check that out so you can see each of the products that I'm using. So I'm finishing up the second tag by layering all the houses onto it. So now we're going to move on to adding the sentiments to each of the tags. I chose a couple of sentiments from the Cozy Town stamp set. One says stay cozy and the other one says may your days be merry. I stamped those onto some Nina Classic Crest Solar White 80-pound cardstock and cut those out off camera. And now I'm going to pop them up a little bit so that they stand out from the tag. Tweezers really work great when you're wanting to place things and you want to kind of get an idea of where everything's going to be. Tweezers are definitely on the list of must-have craft tools for me. So now our tags are pretty much assembled with the exception of just adding the streamers. So I went into my stash of ribbons and just pulled out a bunch that I felt like coordinated with the tags. I've got a little bit of twine, I've got some pom-pom ribbon, and I've got a couple of colors of satin ribbon as well. So I'm going to take the ribbons and kind of string them out a little bit to make sure that I cut off enough so that I can make 2 sets of streamers, one for each tag. Now that I've trimmed down my ribbon, it's time to thread the ribbons through the hole on the tag. I realized that the pom-pom ribbon is a little bit thick to get through the hole in and of itself, not to mention with the other ribbons, 4 ribbons that I have to use as well. So I'm going to pull that pom-pom ribbon out, and then I'm going to just thread the 4 ribbons through the hole in the tag. So I'm going to fold my ribbons in half, kind of find the center point and thread the center point through my through the hole in the tag. It all depends on how you want to attach the ribbons to your tag. You can do it in a couple different ways. This is the way that I've chosen to do it, and I like the way that this comes together. So now I've got a loop on the front side of the tag, and I'm going to thread the streamers of the ribbons through the loop and pull them taut. And that pom-pom ribbon, I'm going to use it. It's going to get tied around the ribbons on the outside. That made it much easier to include the pom-pom ribbon, but not have to worry about tearing or ripping my tag trying to force that thick pom-pom ribbon through a hole that was not that was too small to accommodate it. So here I'm deciding to tie a bow, and after I get that bow tied, I'm like, I really don't like that. It's just too busy, too much going on. So I'm going to untie the bow and just let the pom-pom ribbon hang just like the rest of the streamers on the tag. I really like the way this came together. I think the pom-pom ribbon adds a lot to the streamers. It's a great mix of different textures. So here's a closer look at the final tags. Let me know in the comments below if you make handmade tags for Christmas. I want to thank you for joining me for another video on my YouTube channel and joining all the ladies that are participating in the Christmas in July collaboration. If you haven't done so already, please consider subscribing to my channel and joining me on Instagram and Facebook at thedeltacrafter.com. I hope you have a great day, everyone. Enjoy!